We're a couple of months away from it being exactly 2 years since our last MCU movie release. In that time recently, we have had some Disney Plus shows, but we haven't had a theatrically released MCU movie. That all changes in June when Black Widow comes out. As we have a bit of time to wait, I thought now is the perfect time to look through all of the Marvel movie releases, not just MCU, all of Marvel, and rank them by my excitement. Let me know in the comments what your list would be, and let's get into it. Coming in at 16th is Captain Marvel 2. Like many people, I wasn't a huge fan of Captain Marvel, the character or the movie, mainly because I'm not really a huge fan of Brie Larson and I didn't like how the character was written in that movie. And when she did come into Endgame, because she's very powerful, she had this cockiness about her which was also dislikable. At the end of the day, it's still a Marvel movie, an MCU movie, which I look forward to seeing, just not one which is at the top of the list because I'm just not a big fan of the first movie that came before it. I did enjoy parts of Captain Marvel when it called back to the 90s or, you know, had tie-ins with the MCU from earlier times, but overall I didn't leave the cinema feeling like, wow, that movie has changed my life like some of the other movies in the MCU have. But I hope I can be proved wrong and really do enjoy this, as we get the inclusion of Monica Rambeau, who we've seen grown up in WandaVision, and that has some interesting cliffhangers which would probably tie into this with the Skrulls and Sword up in space, as well as we'll be getting to see Miss Marvel, who will be getting her own TV show before this, which apparently is meant to come out this year, but I'm not sure if it will. As I said, it's a Marvel movie, so I look forward to seeing it, but out of all of these on the list, it's quite easily bottom. Coming in at 15th place is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Now, I don't know exactly what this is going to be like, if it will only be like a TV show episode where it's only 40 minutes long, or if it will be like the Star Wars Holiday Special, which is like an hour and a half, so like a full-length movie. I'm not too sure on this, and overall I just don't really know what to expect from it. I mentioned that Star Wars Holiday Special. I actually haven't seen it, but I've seen reviews and my friends have seen it, and apparently it is absolutely dreadful. So if it follows down those routes, which I'm sure it won't because there's been a lot of time in between these, but it could be a disaster, but yeah, I don't think it will be. It feels very strange, I'm not gonna lie. You know, we've never really done anything like that in the MCU, but I guess they're all about experimenting this phase. But just overall, it takes place after Thor: Love and Thunder, and which does include the Guardians of the Galaxy members in it, and it also takes place before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so it's in between them. I don't really know what to expect because we don't know what's going to happen in Thor 4, so once we see that I'll probably have a better understanding of it, but at the moment I just can't get too excited about it because I don't really know much about it. Coming in at 14th place is Morbius. As I mentioned, this isn't just about MCU movies, we're also having these Sony Marvel movies, and this is one of them. Up until this point, we've only had Venom come before this from this universe, and you know, it wasn't great compared to what the MCU can do, but it was still a very fun movie which I did enjoy. So even though I know it's not going to be up to the same standard, I'm excited to see these Sony movies as it's just more superhero stuff. But once this trailer did drop, probably about a year ago now, I enjoyed it, but there wasn't too much to get excited about. I just thought it looked average. That was until the end when the Vulture showed up and in the background in some shots there's graffiti of SpiderMan, so this is kind of tying its connections to the MCU, so that's what I'm really interested to see in this movie. Other than that, it just looks like an average comic book movie, but of course I can't wait to see it still because it's Marvel. Coming in at 13th place is Blade. The Blade movies have been some of the only R-rated Marvel movies that have ever been made, and they're also some of the earliest Marvel movies that have been made which have been a big success. I've only seen the first one, but I did enjoy it, and those R-rated elements really did help it. So after they announced a Blade movie for the MCU, as well as trying to bring in Deadpool for a third Deadpool movie, I was excited, especially when they said that Deadpool 3 would remain R-rated. I was excited maybe they'd have this, corner of their universe where they would have these R-rated movies. But then another report came out recently, or a couple of months ago, saying that Blade won't be R-rated, so that's made me a little bit disappointed, but it hasn't tarnished my views of this movie overall, especially with an actor like Mahershala Ali playing the lead character. That is something to be very excited about. Actually, his second MCU appearance, he was in Luke Cage. But yeah, this has potential to be a very, very good MCU movie. It could be better if it was R-rated, but it's way too soon to make a real opinion about this movie, as it doesn't even have a release date, and when it does get one, it will probably be 2023. So yeah, like you're gonna hear a lot on this list, it's too early for me to be super excited about this one. Blade movie is coming, so that's really cool. Coming in at 12th place is Black Panther 2. First of all, I'd just like to say rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. It was very heartbreaking to hear of his passing, and especially that he was struggling so much behind the scenes without anyone knowing, not even his colleagues. As far as I know, it was all between his family and doctors. And Marvel confirmed the right thing, that they won't CGI Chadwick Boseman into this project. I don't know if they were ever thinking of making a whole movie with him in the lead CGI'd, or if they were gonna have some kind of small cameo from him to, take his story other places. But I'm glad they're not CGIing him, because that would have felt very disrespectful. And as far as I know, they won't intend to recast him yet, as some fans would be very, very annoyed about that as well, thinking it's disrespectful. Look, I enjoyed the first movie as many others did. I enjoyed the mature themes and the world that it brought to the MCU, but then I also thought it may have been a little bit overrated. It got a lot more love than I personally gave it, but I can really respect this movie, and I was excited as soon as they announced a sequel. I don't know too much about it, neither does anyone else at the moment. I'm intrigued to see what they do about the T'Challa character. I hope they really do it in a respectful way, and a way, even though it'll be hard, that makes sense. That you don't want them just to say, oh, he's on a mission somewhere. This is the future of the character, so I hope they can resolve it without any controversy. This is another movie that we just don't know too much about, so it's hard to really get excited about something which we're expecting. Coming in at 11th is Eternals. Honestly, I don't know anything about the Eternals from the comics, and we're only a few months away from its release, and there hasn't been any sort of trailer. I'm sure that will come soon, because we did get a ShangChi trailer yesterday. But now that Marvel has been so successful over the past 10 years and have stolen the box office, they can afford big risks like this. Obviously, no one knows about the Eternals. It's completely different to what we're used to. It's based a long time before the events of the MCU that we've seen. It's based in space. It's a big risk, but they've done it before and they've pulled it off superbly with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But like with Marvel, even if their movie is very underwhelming and gets bad reviews, it's still gonna make a healthy profit, because it's a Marvel movie, and I'm sure people would forgive it, because all movies have pretty much been very consistent. I'm sure that this movie will deliver, as it does have a great cast as well, but unfortunately, because I don't know about them that much from the comics, and that I haven't seen too much, it's once again hard to get really excited about this one. But I'm really intrigued to see this direction they take the MCU in, because it's going to explore some things we've never seen before. Please release a trailer soon, Marvel. Coming in at 10th place is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, if you saw my video yesterday, or 2 days ago, depending when this video actually goes up, I did a trailer reaction for Shang-Chi, and I mentioned in the end of that video that changes my perspective of what I was going to do for this video. I initially had this one in like 13th place because we hadn't seen anything about it. It was a couple of months away from the movie and we hadn't had a trailer, and I was saying that there's not much to get excited about because we haven't seen anything. But thankfully I delayed filming this video by a day, and we did get that trailer. So now I have a clearer understanding of what that movie is going to be like. It had some great action and some interesting ties with the 10 rings itself, the ones which aren't actually on his fingers, they're on his wrists. And there's just some like, I don't really know exactly, but like magical elements that you could see in that, as well as the real Mandarin. So I'm not gonna lie, I think any trailer, whether I enjoyed it or not, was gonna boost this one up. But yeah, it has. You know, it didn't show too much, but it just gave us a feel for this movie, what it's going to be like, which is exactly what I needed to put this on this list. So yeah, Shang-Chi comes in at 10th. Coming in at 9th place is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Look, I stand by that Ant-Man is one of the most underrated MCU movies out there. Is the action amazing? No. It's, you know, it's average. Is the plotline unique? No. Is it entertaining? Yes. This is one of the most enjoyable MCU movies out there for me, just because of, you know, the comedy in it, the cast. Paul Rudd's my favourite actor, and I found this movie hilarious, and is a nice break from all this, you know, huge stakes. It has really small stakes, and that just enjoys for like a fun journey, you know. I was excited about this one when the title was just known as Ant-Man 3, but Quantumania, as well as telling us that Kang the Conqueror was going to be in it, has boosted my excitement for this one, because as the title suggests, we're going to be back in the quantum realm exploring, I'd hope. And Kang the Conqueror is a huge villain from the comics, and looks like he will be set to be the next big bad of the MCU, so I didn't expect those sort of things to come in an Ant-Man movie. And in fact, I'm actually surprised this one got a third movie, but you know, I really have enjoyed the other ones, and I'm excited for this one. Coming in at 8th place is Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse 2. Like many people, I really did enjoy Into the SpiderVerse. Before the MCU, and maybe before the X-Men and Spider-Man movies, comic book movies were very, very campy and used as cheap entertainment, and animated movies, especially superhero ones, maybe weren't as respected. But I think the fact that this got some big awards or award nominations has changed a lot of people's perspectives. Just their overall style just felt like you're flipping through a comic book. You know, it doesn't need to be like the MCU, as it's an animated movie, and it just explores its own things, which it does really well, and involving many different spider people from the Spider-Verse, not necessarily ones which we have known from the comics. I know there were some that I didn't know about there in that movie, but you know, they made risks and it paid off, and for that I'm excited for this second movie, because I think, you know, they're going to go bigger, because even though there hasn't been a trailer released or anything, and this movie's still, you know, over a year away from releasing, I think it will be bigger, because when they didn't release this official release date video confirming when their movie would come out, there was, you know, the classic glitch effect from the Spider-Verse movie, and it had many different Spider-Man designs, all colours in the background. So I think this is going to be a huge Spider-Verse movie. Coming in at 7th place is Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I mentioned I enjoyed Venom. It wasn't really up to MCU standard, but it was fun, and maybe because Venom in the comics is one of my favourite characters, I was really excited for this movie, especially when they teased that Carnage was coming, Woody Harrelson. You know, the Venom movie, it wasn't perfect as I mentioned, but it was just cool to see Venom on screen in the live action, done, I'm not going to say properly, but let's just say better than Topher Grace. Had a nice interaction with Tom Hardy, which I look forward to seeing more of, but I'm also intrigued about the character itself, because in this he's portrayed more as an anti-hero. In the comics he's more of a villain, and we're yet to see something like that, so maybe something will change with him and he'll have connections to Spider-Man where he becomes a villain, who knows? That's what I'm intrigued to find out. But this is another movie which comes out in a couple of months and has been ruined a lot by these delays, because it was one of those movies which was meant to come out last year. So we're yet to see a trailer for it, but I'm really intrigued to see what that trailer will hold, and I've been really impatient because I want to see what a live action Carnage would look like. So yeah, it may be controversial, but Venom 2 is this high up on this list. Coming in at 6th place is Black Widow. This is a tough one for me. This is going to sound weird, but this was one of the toughest ones to place on this list, because on the one hand, it's the one which comes out the soonest, it's only a couple of months away. On the other hand, it was meant to come out a year ago, and we've had trailers, you know, we went a whole year without another trailer because of all these releases. Yes, it does have a firm release date now, but that momentum is gone. Not that any of us think it's gonna be bad. I'm sure we still have the same beliefs in it as we did last year, but just that momentum and that excitement, it built up for so long, and when we were only a few months away from its release, that excitement was quickly shot down and we didn't know when to expect it. So also that it's a prequel, because spoiler alert for Endgame, Black Widow has died. We're gonna be seeing a prequel which could have come many years ago, especially with some of these moments meant to be coming in between Infinity War and Civil War, so maybe we could have got that then. But at the end of the day, it's a Black Widow movie, and it has some really interesting things in that trailer which I'm really intrigued to find out and to see what happened in Budapest. Coming in at 5th place is Fantastic Four. Despite all the good casting decisions in the Fantastic Four movies, none have really been able to pull off this movie. It's always had some controversial opinions about it and has never really been that well received. I've always been a fan of the Fantastic Four from the comics, and even in the movies, you know, they have their fun moments. Even though all the movies aren't really good, I can still find some enjoyment amongst them. Even though information about this movie is near to non-existent, with only the director known, I can't help but get really excited about this movie, because I genuinely think that the MCU will do this group justice like they haven't been done before, which is fully deserved because it's been long overdue that we got a good Fantastic Four movie. I really hope it does hit the mark, which, as I said, I'm sure it will. But as for now, it's in 5th because we don't know much information, and we don't know the casting decisions either, but like everyone, I can hope that it's John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. Coming in at 4th place is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. After all the setbacks, we're finally getting this movie. James Gunn is back after being fired. It was meant to come probably about this year initially, but yeah, as I said, they had all these problems behind the scenes which have now been resolved. Like any normal person, I did enjoy the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. They really did switch up this universe, and my perspective of this movie has changed massively since James Gunn has come back, because he's really executed the Guardians movies very well, and I felt like another person coming in would change that up and it maybe wouldn't be as good. I'm interested to see though what the Suicide Squad is like. I know what you're thinking, that's a DC movie, but it is directed by James Gunn and another team-up movie, and apparently it's his proudest work he's done, so I'm interested to see how that movie's quality will affect my opinion on this. Like I said in this holiday special, we can't really determine too much from this as we haven't seen Thor Love and Thunder, which does contain the members of it, and we don't know what's going to happen with 2014 Gamora. One thing which should be certain is we will be getting to see Adam Warlock, who is a huge character in the comics. But yeah, it's too soon to get really excited about this one, but I am excited for it. We just don't know too much yet. Coming in at 3rd place is Thor Love and Thunder. Once I've seen this one, I can get a clearer vision of what Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the holiday special is going to be like, but this movie is stacked. Okay, we have Taika Waititi coming back, now an award-winning director. Everything he has directed I've really enjoyed. You know, What We Do in the Shadows, Jojo Rabbit, Thor Ragnarok, and now he's returning to Thor. I'm very happy with that, because in the past the Thor character has been chucked around a lot. They've been changing him up. They didn't know what to do with him at the start, but Taika Waititi found a clear message that he wanted Thor to be like, and he executed it very well, and since then I think a lot more people have enjoyed his character. I mentioned I can't get an idea of the Guardians movies because this one hasn't been released yet, but I'm interested to see what they do with the Guardians and Thor following on from the events of Endgame, because you see them fly off together. This movie could have huge stakes with a huge cast, which I know it does, because it does have Christian Bale as a comic book villain this time instead of Batman, so he's a class actor. Gore the God Butcher sounds very scary. This has every reason to be brilliant just from the casting and the inclusion of characters, but a part of me feels a bit worried about the whole Lady Thor plotline, because Natalie Portman as Jane Foster has been known as one of the weaker characters in the MCU, and in Ragnarok they steered clear of her, and surprisingly the movie was a lot better. Here they're bringing her back and they're making her have powers, so that seems a bit odd to me. I trust in Taika Waititi's process, so I'm still hoping this will be a great movie, which I'm sure it will be. Coming in at second place is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I was in Italy when they were announcing all these movies, and as soon as that one came up, I was instantly so excited for it because, I mean, just look at that name. We've been teased the multiverse in this universe before, and it's annoying that they keep steering away from it, but it looks certain that they're going to dive into it. As I said, the title is enough to get you excited. This is meant to be the first MCU horror movie, and it's directed by Sam Raimi, who can do some really creepy things, as well as having experience directing superhero movies before with the SpiderMan trilogy. And of course, if you're up to date with the MCU and all the Disney Plus shows, the events of WandaVision do tie into this movie because Elizabeth Olsen is going to be in this movie. Where WandaVision left off, I'm very excited to see what they do with her character because she could be a villain. I'm intrigued. You know, I don't actually know what's going to be happening in this movie, but I know that it's going to have the multiverse. It's going to have Scarlet Witch in it, possibly evil Scarlet Witch. We don't even have anything pretty much in terms of plot here. We're just going off the title and the characters included, but I'm really excited because we're going to the multiverse, I hope. But coming in at first place is Spider-Man No Way Home. This is my most anticipated movie of the year. You know, I might sound basic, but Spider-Man's my most favourite comic book character. I've grown up watching Raimi's trilogy of Spider-Man movies, even the Amazing Spider-Man ones. You know, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I've really enjoyed the new MCU Spider-Man movies and Tom Holland. The Peter Parker that I'm watching nowadays could be involved with the Peter Parkers that I grew up watching. It's mind-blowing, you know, especially we've had reports the other day. We knew that Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx were returning, but Alfred Molina, who played Doc Ock, confirms that he'll be continuing his story from exactly where Spider-Man 2 left off, so I'm guessing that big portal thing has transferred into this universe or something like that. You know, information in terms of plot is scarce. You can't tell what's being made up or not. You have to hold out for real confirmation because people are saying Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have been cast. We don't know that for sure as things are being kept really quiet, but I feel like they have been cast. Obviously they're going to say no to people asking about it because they want to keep it a surprise, but there hasn't actually been any trailer released. Once there is, I'm sure it's going to break the internet, and I hope they do include, and you know, just like Captain America Civil War, I hope just, you know, the end bit has a bit of confirmation for Tobey Maguire, something like pizza time or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, any comic book movie fan is excited for this movie, but a part of me who loves the MCU and loves Spider-Man movies, as huge as the stakes are going, I can't help but be a little bit scared that they're gonna put too much in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, obviously we have to see what they do, but a part of me wanted them to devote a whole movie to Spider-Man being on the run after what happened to him in Far From Home. Obviously that will have ties into it, but maybe a whole movie where he's being hunted by maybe Kraven the Hunter or something. I'm not going to say no to a live action SpiderVerse movie, so for me it was a no-brainer to have Spider-Man No Way Home in first place. As I said at the start of the video, please let me know what your ranking would be because I'm really curious. This is just my opinion. Obviously there's no right opinion, just what I feel. If you're wondering why I didn't include Deadpool 3, is because it hasn't been officially announced. I know Feige says that they have plans for it, but it hasn't been announced like these movies have. I haven't included it on this one, but you can include it if you want. Obviously, there's not much to go off of that. But just to clarify, I'm excited for all of these movies. Some, obviously, a lot more than the others. I hope you enjoyed today's video as it was a little bit different. And if you did enjoy it, please like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. And I hope to make a DC version of this when I have the time, but yeah, I hope to see you in that video and take care.